Hello. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. No, this is not the 3 count with SP3. It is a special new countdown. I gave you guys my top 10 matches of 2019. I gave you my top 5 wrestlers of the decade of the 2010s. And this time, we have a very special themed countdown. A lot of fans, professional wrestling fans, I am one just like yourself. We've been complaining about the long stretch between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania in the WWE. We're so annoyed with all the pay-per-views WWE puts between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, whether that be the Elimination Chamber, whether that be Fastlane. We've had a roadblock in the last couple of years. This year we had Sweet Saudi Money 5 from Saudi Arabia, Real Madrid, whatever it's called. I don't know. Whatever the prince wants to call it to get Vince a $45 million paycheck. But a lot of wrestling fans don't realize that some of the greatest matches that we have ever seen have happened at these pre-Mania pay-per-views. So that's what I'm here to count down. The top 10 best matches to happen at pre-Mania pay-per-views. These are all the pay-per-views between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So these are pay-per-views like No Way Out, St. Valentine's Day Massacre, The Elimination Chamber, Fastlane, Roadblock, Sweet Saudi Money. Any pay-per-view that has come between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania over the last 2 decades, we are going to count down the top 10 best matches from those pre-Mania pay-per-views. A couple of honorable mentions that I can mention right now. The Rock versus Kurt Angle from No Way Out 2001. This is where The Rock defeated Kurt Angle after Kurt Angle's first WWF title reign. A great matchup, kind of ruined by the ending where I think it's Earl Hebner believes that Kurt Angle is supposed to kick out of the Rock bottom, even though they wanted that to be the finish. Earl Hebner stops his count. It kind of ruined the ending to that matchup. So it just missed the cups of my top 10. At coming in, another honorable mention that I can mention, the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match from 2018. The Elimination Chamber match, 2019 actually. 2019, this was the one that featured the rise of Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan successfully defending the title in the Elimination Chamber match. And then finally, my last honorable mention, we got to mention, since I mentioned St. Valentine's Day Massacre, we got to mention the best match from that show, which was the last man standing match between The Rock and Mankind. That match ended in a draw, which was the perfect ending if Mankind was going to be in the main event of WrestleMania and not just lose the title the following night. So that's why it just missed the cups of my top 10. So coming in at number 10, we got the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match from Elimination Chamber 2016. This match featured Bray Wyatt, John Cena, AJ Styles, The Miz, Baron Corbin, and Dean Ambrose. One of the best Elimination Chamber matchups that I can remember. Definitely one of the best, in my opinion, in the past 3 to 4 years. This one had all types of feuds and rivalries developing, whether it was John Cena versus AJ Styles, which was one of the best feuds of 2016. It was actually Elimination Chamber 2017, my mistake, 2017. But the one of the best rivalries of 2016 was between AJ Styles and John Cena. Those two guys started off the match. We had the whole story of Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles rivalry. We had Dean Ambrose and Baron Corbin developing their rivalry, which will culminate at WrestleMania. John Cena and The Miz, their years-long rivalry. And of course, the ending with Bray Wyatt coming up to his zenith, his apex at the time, when he defeated AJ Styles and John Cena back-to-back and won the WWE Championship for the first time. Well deserving of this match. I rated this match 4.25 stars, and it's well deserving to be in our top 10. Coming in at number 9, we got the big dog, Roman, the big dog going up against Daniel Bryan from Fastlane 2015. This was a match to determine the number one contender for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 31. This was coming off the heels of Daniel Bryan returning to the WWE after his concussion scares and neck scares in 2014 when he had to relinquish the WWE Championship. This was after that horrible Royal Rumble. That was Royal Rumble 2015, which caused the people to boo the People's Champion out of the building because they so much hated the fact that Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble and Daniel Bryan got eliminated like 10 minutes in. So they made up for it with this classic matchup. This is a back and forth affair, and this is one of the big dog's first times where he really showed he was a main event talent. Great, fantastic match from start to finish, really. Big Dog getting the victory with a spear at the end. I rated this match 4.5 stars. A lot of these matches I had at that same rating, but this one comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we got one of the first ever pay-per-views to happen between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Yes, it was Final Four 1997. Final Four 1997. This came off the heels of the Royal Rumble 1997, where Stone Cold Steve Austin won his first Royal Rumble in very controversial fashion, being eliminated by Bret Hart, coming back into the ring and winning the whole thing after he was already eliminated. And this fatal four-way was between Bret Hart, Vader, The Undertaker, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Talk about 4 Hall of Fame talents, 4 wrestling legends in one matchup. This matchup is very underrated, very a forgotten gem in my opinion. Definitely was the birth of these pay-per-views that came between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania and showed the WWF, WWE that they can make pit stops on the road to WrestleMania after the Royal Rumble. This was used in the best way possible. This was really made because of Shawn Michaels' very sudden relinquishing of the title with his knee injury that he was only out for 3 months, even though he said he was going to be out for a longer time. He didn't want to lose to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. The behind the scenes story, but because of that behind the scenes story, we got this classic match. Another match that I rate at 4.5 stars. You can be eliminated by pinfall, submission, or being thrown over the top rope. In the end, Bret the Hitman Hart became the WWF champion for the 4th time, and just a great match. Definitely go out your way to go back and watch it. It's up on the WWE Network, so check it out. Coming in at number 7, we have this matchup that is probably the most memorable from the last decade. One of the most memorable matches to happen on a pay-per-view between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. In recent memory, it was the Shield 6-man tag team matchup going up against the Wyatt family. This was a perfect storm. The 2 most dominant factions in the WWE going up against each other. You had Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Roman Reigns, who were the Shield, the most dominant faction to come into the WWE in over a decade. Really just ran roughshod throughout the whole WWE, and were pretty much had one loss altogether, in 2 years in 6-man tag team action versus the Wyatt family. This mysterious family from the backwoods somewhere that had been tormenting and attacking people like Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, Kane, and now they were going up against the other dominant faction, and what a tremendous match this was. This was action from start to finish, great storytelling throughout the whole matchup, and just the energy of the crowd. We had holy shit's chance before the bell even freaking ran, and this was one of the first times that I remember something like this happening. This happened in this match, and it was just something that you just have to go out your way to see. If you don't remember it, go out your way and watch it. If you never watched it, go out your way and watch it. If you have watched it, if you need the refresher of how great this matchup was, go out your way. Shield versus Wyatt family at number 7, 4.5 stars. I rated it. Coming in at number 6, and you'll see the little bit of familiarity with our next one coming in at number 5, but coming in at number 6 was the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match from Elimination Chamber 2009. This involved the participants were John Cena, were supposed to be Kofi Kingston, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, Mike Knox, among others. Like I said, it was supposed to have Kofi Kingston in this matchup, but this match is most famous for the attack at the beginning of the matchup after Edge lost the WWE Championship in the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match early in the night, losing it within the first 5 minutes of the contest, losing to Jeff Hardy. He came out, he attacked Kofi Kingston, and basically snuck his way into the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match. John Cena was the champion going in. Probably the most famous sequence in this matchup was the final 4 participants, kind of 3 out of the 4, double teaming, triple teaming on John Cena. John Cena was the victim of a Chris Jericho codebreaker, a 619, and then a spear, which eliminated John Cena. So it guaranteed that we would have a new World Heavyweight Championship, World Heavyweight Champion. And in the end, one of the best final 2 in an Elimination Chamber match, as it was Edge going one-on-one with Rey Mysterio. Great back and forth. These guys have great chemistry, which we'll touch on in a minute as well. And they ended off this matchup in just such a big way that got such a great reaction from the crowd. This match was another one that I rated at 4.5 stars, but I have one other Elimination Chamber match that just this close beat this one out. Coming in at number 5, we have the World Heavyweight Championship Elimination Chamber match from the following year, 2010. This was another one that main evented the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, and this one had some very interesting characters and superstars in it. We had R-Truth, we had John Morrison, we had Rey Mysterio, we had CM Punk, The Undertaker, and Chris Jericho. So many great storylines and rivalries going on in this one. You had Morrison and Truth, who were teaming together at this point. You had the whole story of Chris Jericho trying to win the World Heavyweight Championship after losing it just a couple, 2 years before that. You had The Undertaker, the dominant World Heavyweight Champion, who won it all the way back the previous October and had held on to it through challenges from Batista, from Rey Mysterio, among others. You had the beginning of the rivalry between Rey Mysterio and CM Punk, but most of all, this match is most remembered for the finish. Came down to Chris Jericho and The Undertaker in the final moments of the match, and from underneath the Elimination Chamber, popping out under this deal, it was none other than the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, who was so obsessed with getting another match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania that he helped his longtime rival, his longtime enemy, Chris Jericho, become the World Heavyweight Champion, just to invoke and provoke The Undertaker to accept his challenge for WrestleMania 26. Such great storytelling in this matchup, great moves and memorable moments in it as well. You had Morrison crawling up the Elimination Chamber wall and coming down on the rest of the participants. You had the memorable finish. So many great moments. This is by far, in my opinion, the best Elimination Chamber match that has happened at an Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Probably the best one I've ever seen was the first ever one at Survivor Series 2002, but this is within definitely the top 2 to 3 Elimination Chamber matches of all time. Coming in at number 4, this classic matchup is very memorable, very well known. It is from No Way Out 2000. It was the main event as Triple H went one-on-one with Cactus Jack Mick Foley in a Hell in a Cell match. If Mick Foley lost, he would have to retire, and what a memorable, brutal contest this was. I have it a notch below their classic, all-time great matchup at Royal Rumble 2000, the New York City street fight. This Hell in a Cell was brutal though. You had Triple H bleeding, getting busted open. You had barbed wire bats. You had steel chairs. The infamous moment at the end where Foley tries to power drive Triple H onto the steel on the top of the cell, but he is flipped over, goes through the cage roof, then all the way to the ring and plummets, causes a huge gap and hole in the freaking ring because he got backdrop and he's like almost 300 pounds and he encaves the freaking ring. And then Mick Foley, even though it seems like he's dead, somehow comes to his feet and Triple H just finishes him with a pedigree. One of the most memorable matchups in any and probably one of the most memorable matchups in WWE history. Definitely one of the most memorable Hell in a Cell matches. In my opinion, it's definitely top 5, top 6 Hell in a Cell matches of all time, but definitely memorable for it being the last quotation marks. There's a lot of quotation marks in this video, but quotation marks, last matchup for Mick Foley in his WWE career. But Triple H and Mick Foley went out there and had a classic matchup. I rate this one at 4 3/4 stars. My top 4 matches all are pretty much at 4 3/4, except for one, which was our number 1. But let's move on to number 3. Coming in at number 3, this matchup is another one that seems to be a forgotten gem nowadays, but it comes from No Way Out 2006, and it was The Undertaker going one-on-one with Kurt Angle, the Olympic gold medalist, versus the Dead Man. This was The Undertaker made his return to the WWE at the Royal Rumble 2006 and made the challenge to the World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle. This match is just technical wrestling meets MMA style meets grappling at a whole nother level. This is the best match that Kurt Angle and The Undertaker have ever had. Their matches back in 2000, Kurt Angle was still developing himself as an in-ring performer, so they weren't that good, as well as The Undertaker was a freaking jerk in 2000, 2001, and literally squashed anyone he didn't respect. Go back and watch, because I'm not lying when I said that, but it's the truth. Hey, to each his own. But this matchup is just great. It's just great grappling. You got submission work. You have the great, unique finish with The Undertaker getting Kurt Angle into the triangle choke, and Kurt Angle changing that into a pinning combination to get the victory and successfully defend the title. Go out your way and watch this match. I've just recently watched it again. I originally rated it at like 4 1/4 stars, but it shot up, skyrocketed up my whole countdown to the number 3 spot, because there's so many little storytelling. The pacing is great, and just these are 2 of the all-time greats at peak performance, even in 2006, which is really late into the game. It's the final year that Kurt Angle was with the WWE before he went on to TNA. This was at a point where The Undertaker wasn't putting on a lot of great matches. He actually went on to WrestleMania 22 and had a rather lackluster matchup against Mark Henry in a casket match, but this match is something that he can definitely hang his hat on for 2006. And there's not much he can hang his hat on in 2006. He had that match with Mark Henry. He feuded with Great Khali. God bless Kurt Angle for giving The Undertaker this match in this year. Coming in at number 2, probably the most famous match to happen at a pre-WrestleMania pay-per-view. It was in No Way Out 2004. It was Eddie Guerrero going one-on-one with Brock Lesnar. This was in San Francisco at the Cow Palace. I went to the Cow Palace for New Japan Pro Wrestling back 3 years ago, and I can tell you it's one of the best arenas to go to for professional wrestling. Just a whole different aesthetic and atmosphere about it, and I can only imagine myself at 16 years old if I would have been able to go to No Way Out 2004. Famous great wrestlers today like Sasha Banks was there in the crowd during this matchup, but it's the most famous because it was Eddie Guerrero's crowning achievement for his career as he defeated Brock Lesnar to become the WWE champion. It's definitely a David versus Goliath type of story, but it tells the redemption and the comeback story of Eddie Guerrero coming from a very dark place with his addiction to drugs and alcohol, and coming up and becoming a champion, the real champion, the WWE champion. The build-up was all about Brock Lesnar basically telling Eddie he wasn't good enough, and the whole matchup encapsulates that whole story, from the pacing to the storytelling to the moves, the great spots. You had the interference from Goldberg, which kind of to me takes it down a notch. I would have wished that Eddie Guerrero would have just got the job done on his own, because Eddie lied, cheated, and stole himself to a victory. He uses the WWE Championship as well, and then finally hits the frog splash. And what a great post-match celebration it was. It's probably the most cathartic and coming together of professional wrestling fans to kind of celebrate one of our all-time greats at the time, and such a great redemption story. Definitely, this is another one that I say go out your way and rewatch it. Yeah, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view this coming Sunday doesn't have a lot of matchups that have the emotional investment that this match had going into it. So go out your way and watch this match so you can remember a time that WWE really cared about getting you emotionally invested into superstars, into characters, into professional wrestling matchups just like this. This was peak performance Brock. This is one of Brock's best matches from his first run, and really shows how Brock steps up when he has those smaller, really athletic, great wrestlers in the ring with him. And then finally, coming in at number one is none other than the famous 3 Stages of Hell match from No Way Out 2001, as Triple H went one-on-one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. This was the culmination of the Who Hit Stone Cold Steve Austin with a car storyline. We found out when Stone Cold returned at the end of 2000 that it was Rikishi that did it for his people, that did it for The Rock, but he really did it for Triple H. Triple H paid off Rikishi to run down Stone Cold Steve Austin. The long-standing rivalry between the Game and the Rattlesnake coming to fruition in this matchup. These guys tormented each other for the last few months of 2000, way into 2001. Vince McMahon made the decision that going into No Way Out, that both men could not touch each other, and these two men tried everything to get the other man to provoke himself to hit the other. Whether it was Triple H attacking Jim Ross and breaking his arm to provoke Stone Cold Steve Austin, or Stone Cold Steve Austin laying out Stephanie McMahon with a stunner. These guys tried everything, but they came to this big matchup. The first matchup was a regular singles match where Stone Cold is trying to prove to Triple H that he is the better wrestler, and Stone Cold Steve Austin gets the job done, gets Triple H a stunner and gets the pin in the first fall. The second fall is a no disqualification, no holds barred match. And of course, that's right up Triple H's alley, because Triple H, from the years of probably 1997 to 2001, never won a goddamn match without cheating. So, no disqualification is right up his alley. So yes, of course, the Game got the victory here with the pedigree, and then finally these men brutalized each other, bloodied each other, and basically beat the crap out of each other's bodies in a steel cage match in the third fall. And then finally it was both men hitting each other with a sledgehammer and a steel chair, and Triple H falling on top of Stone Cold Steve Austin to get the victory. This match is 5 stars from beginning to end. It's almost 38 minutes of non-stop action, great storytelling, great character work, just encapsulating a whole almost year-long story into one climactic type of matchup. This matchup definitely is the best matchup from any pre-WrestleMania pay-per-view, and there probably will never be another matchup that tops this, because like we just said, WWE doesn't get you emotionally invested into matchups like this, into characters like Stone Cold and Triple H quite as often as they did back in 2001. This is the apex, this is the GOAT pre-WrestleMania pay-per-view matchup in history. Stone Cold versus Triple H, 3 Stages of Hell. So, folks, that was all. That is our countdown. That is our top 10 best matches from pre-WrestleMania pay-per-views. If you disagree, if you think one of the other matches that we list deserve to be number 1, or even one of our honorable mentions deserve to be in our top 10, put your comment down below and let's discuss it in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed all the great matches that I named, push that like button, and of course push the subscribe button and push the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on Tru Heel Heat. It is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been the top 10 best matches from pre-WrestleMania pay-per-views. I am signing off until next time.